Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where we break down the week in NBA and WNBA action. As a reminder, you can hear this podcast a day before it can be seen on YouTube by checking out Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I am your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith. How we doing?
Doing pretty good. The NBA playoffs have officially tipped off, and it's been a pretty doozy of a first two games. Or I guess we're in day three now. We'll be day four by the time y'all are hearing this. So just really pumped to be following that. The Reds are absolutely raking right now, and so that's also been great on the baseball side of things. But all in all, doing good. How about you?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on the Reds and the results because I don't watch baseball, but it's
Hmm.
the city around here is more fun when the Reds are good. So that's been fun to see, and yeah, the playoffs have been really fun. More fun than I thought they would because I thought really only a couple series would be good in this first
Hmm.
round, but a good majority of them have been. So that's been nice. But yeah, the WNBA is only a couple weeks from kicking off, 2 weeks from Friday. So looking forward to that and talking about some of this off-season action too. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Another exciting week in pro hoops. What stood out to you?
Yeah, just going through these series here. Let's start with the Timberwolves and Nuggets. Game one, the Nuggets looked a step ahead of the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves came fighting back. Anthony Edwards dropped 30 points last night. A pretty inefficient 30 points, but 30 points regardless. Randall still kind of nipping that playoff non-performer in the bud. He proved that last year for sure, but definitely reinforcing that with a good 20 points. Shout out Bones Highland off the bench dropping a cool 13. So the Nuggets just didn't quite have it last night, and now it's what's the saying? It's not a series until the away team gets a win. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's the case here with the Timberwolves getting that win. And again, this is I think all both of our favorite series, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's really disappointed. The Wolves are still in that game in game one, but yeah, the story is the Timberwolves who after losing the first quarter by a pretty considerable margin came back and literally matched what the Nuggets did in the first quarter in the second, back and forth throughout the third, and get the win in the fourth. Shout out Ant doing what Ant does. I have no doubt this is going to 7 games.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But looking through yesterday, the probably best game of the playoffs so far. Hawks and Knicks. I happened to just beautifully tune in the fourth quarter when things started getting hot. Knicks pretty well controlled this game throughout. It was close. Like they started separating themselves in the third quarter a bit, and the Hawks reeled them right back in, going 28 points to 15 on the Knicks in the fourth quarter. CJ McCollum, a huge part of that, 32 points. And the very interesting thing about the Hawks, and it's something that I didn't really notice, is they're not doing it from beyond the arc. I mean, not for lack of trying. CJ went 3 of 10 from beyond the arc, but he said that fadeaway step back from the mid range, that cut to the lane, looking like he's in his Lehigh days out there. And CJ McCollum been a bucket. We all known that, but the fact that CJ McCollum is kind of, I don't know if it's kind of, is outlasting Klay Thompson right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
imagine that. Like, this guy looks like he's got a lot in the tank and becoming a villain. It was interesting how when in his interview, when the reporter made the point about him being a villain in New York. No, I'm not a villain. So he kind of took a little offense to that. It's all just a part of the media and fans just want another Trey Young incident. I think like it or not, he's definitely becoming a villain in New York. But the other thing I want to point out here is I think the Knicks really lost this game because of the coaching a little bit. I think not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the coaching is bad, but there's just a disconnect between what's going on the floor and the coaching, and that was highlighted by a play where they took up about half of the shot clock trying to get their play in order, and it was like finally they got Cat coming over to a screen for Jalen Brunson, and uh, Brunson misses the shot and just wasted the time. Like it just seemed very unnatural to me, and kind of highlighted what I think was a large portion of the Knicks collapse there in the fourth quarter, as well as some outstanding defense, offense played by the Hawks. It was all encapsulated by a beautiful steal by Nickeil Alexander-Walker, pass to McCollum, who passed it right down to Jalen Johnson for the slam-a-jamma. So a beautiful, beautiful team basketball being played by the Hawks. I think they're one of the most fun teams to watch in the NBA right now. I don't know if they're going to win this series. I got the Knicks winning, but just as I said with the last series and then Timberwolves, the series doesn't start until the away team gets a win. Now they get to go back to the A and try to take the control of the series.
Yeah, that's a lot of 2000s ball in that series right there. A lot of mid-range step backs and stuff like that, like the inefficient things that KG were taking back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But shout out them. CJ McCollum setting back the clock. That was crazy. If you gave me people to predict on that team, either team, to turn back the clock, don't think I would have went with him. But shout out him for proving me wrong. I think this game two kind of proved what I was talking about in our predictions is the Knicks just rely on too many people. If they don't all show up, it's going to be bad news for the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
Can they still win the series? Obviously, yeah. And it's going to be a great series. And those players are going to show up in the next few games. But uh, that's what happens when you're not clicking for the whole game. You can allow those comebacks when you need all your players to be on their top of their game. And the Hawks can have somebody simple like McCollum or Jalen Johnson or somebody like that come through. Congo wasn't even supposed to play in this game, and he had a pretty nice game too. So shout out to Hawks for putting together a good game.
Yeah. And switching gears here to the Cavs and Raptors series, really looks like a situation of a team that's been here versus a team that hasn't been here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's players on the Raptors that have been here, but all in all, just not an experienced team overall to in the playoffs. Even the coach, I think this is his first shot at it. So kind of how I expected it to go. Shout out Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, both showing up in this most recent game. 26 for Barnes, 22, an efficient 22 for RJ Barrett. Brandon Ingram, 7 points, 3 for 15 shooting. You got to think if he just hits a bucket or two more, it's a 10-point loss. They can, getting close. Also, Colin Murray Boyles continues to impress with a nice 17-point game off of the bench. I like this Raptors team, but I think this is kind of just feels like the Cavs, like their first year in the playoffs. Like they're still figuring things out, got a lot to learn, and they should be back next year by all means. And that's kind of been the case throughout this season, where you can just kind of tell this wasn't the season for the Raptors. The Cavs got a lot more riding on it. They got a lot more experience, and I just think that's going to prevail in this one. Nothing really too much has stood out from the Cavs because I pretty well expected them to be here. Evan Mobley is showing up, something he didn't do in the last playoffs very well. James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, all three of them actually combined for, come on, Colton, quick math here. You got it. Roughly 90 of their 115 points. So that is a little alarming. Not that there really is any other bucket getters, but I'd like to see a Max Strus 12 to 15 point game or Dennis Schroeder get some more shots up. Is it required to beat the Raptors? No, but I think that's a problem it's going to definitely come up if this is how they're going to have to keep winning, if they're going to rely on Mobley, Harden, and Mitchell to drop at least 25 points in order to get to 90. That's just going to be a problem. You're not going to win too many series doing that.
Yeah, that's the good and bad thing with the Cavs is all the starters can score 15 or 20 points, but sometimes you need them all to score 15 or 20 points to win the game, and that is worrisome to say the least. I think Max Strus has been playing well in this series. It's good to see him finally kind of get his groove back. But Dennis Schroeder, you pointed him out, somebody that you sign expecting, having had that playoff experience, played in big games, led teams, mostly off the bench, but still a good six man on a lot of teams in the past. That is somebody you expect to be here and play well, and he just hasn't done that in the series. Again, it's probably not going to affect the series because the Raptors just haven't looked their best. They don't have a deep bench, but they need them in the series to come because the East may be a little tighter of a contest than we originally thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And sticking in the East, let's talk about the Magic knocking off the Pistons in game one. I can't lie. I vividly remember the same exact thing happening when the Raptors were the 1 seed and the Magic were the 8 seed. So the Raptors went on to win 4 games and then the championship. Pistons, I don't know. Maybe that's the case, but yeah, I don't think that's necessarily the case here. But I do think this does highlight a weakness in the Pistons game, and a weakness I did actually expect the Magic to exploit. Sometimes I talk to people in real life, and I don't remember if I say it on the podcast or not. So I might be talking on us here, but I do know at least at some point last week I was talking to my buddy at work who's a Magic fan. I'm like, I think y'all honestly have a shooter's chance at this, simply based off the fact that the Pistons have never really found their stride offensively. And while they are an outstanding defensive team, it's kind of like Houston in college basketball. When you're a great defensive team, but not a great offensive team, you lead yourself to an upset. And that's exactly what we saw happen here in game one. The Magic dropping 112 points. I don't know if they'll reach that again in this series, but Paolo did his thing with 23, but it was a team effort. Paolo, Franz, Wendell Carter, Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs, all 15 or more points. That's how they win this series. That is how this team wins games, is when it's not Paolo playing hero ball. It's the team as a whole contributing, and I think that's what they got to do if they do really want to win this series, because I do think they are talented. I think they are better than an 8 seed. I think we all can agree on that.
Sure.
It's just been a matter of finding this stride, so no better time than the playoffs.
Yeah, I went into the series thinking that the Magic didn't really have much of a chance, and they certainly proved me wrong. I thought Cade would be the only possible weak point because of his health. Obviously, that was wrong. He was spectacular in game one, and they still lost. So imagine how mad he has to be. A collapsed lung, and you still don't get a win from the rest of your team. But
that's where the collapsed lung came from, carrying this team, I guess.
But Orlando, don't reinvent the wheel. This is exactly how you need to play. Do I expect them to do it again or consistently to win the series? No, because they just have shown so much inconsistency on the offensive side of the ball, especially. But just run your offense through Jalen Suggs. He's great. He's a great point guard, somebody who can get the ball distributed and to those scorers that you need to facilitate and distribute the points to. Let's not run Paolo like he's LeBron James. He's not. He's never going to be. That's what you all have done for basically since he's been in the league, and that's why the offense does not look like it needs to. This is the solution. It's simple. It's a simple, effective offense that will work. Please continue running it. I know you won't, but please.
Yeah, that would only make sense. They would then go on to maybe win the series, and
that'd be too simple and too easy. Yeah.
Yeah, but blazing through a couple here really quick. I could have made a pun, but there might be a talking point here on the Trailblazers series, because the Trailblazers are currently up 15-4 against the Spurs, or I guess now 15-7 3-pointer from the Spurs.
Okay.
Early on in the game, but still interesting. But Spurs pretty easily handled the Trailblazers in game one, 111-98. The Thunder even easier handled the Thunder, or handled the Suns. Words. 119-84 in their first matchup. So nothing really to report there, and maybe we'll have something next week if the Trailblazers pull off this upset. But it might just end up being 4-1 by the time we talk about it next week. And then I think the only other one we haven't mentioned is the Lakers and Rockets, and then the Celtics and Sixers. Celtics belt to ass in game one. I think you talked about it. Joel Embiid not being there is a pretty big hindrance to the Sixers. Not even just obviously from a team standpoint, but from a matchup standpoint on the Celtics. He is a matchup nightmare for the Celtics, and if he's not there, I don't really see their chances. But they are currently up 62-54 at halftime, looking to take an away game from the Celtics here early on. So we'll have to see how that wraps up. I'll keep an eye on it before the show wraps up. But also tonight, the Rockets and Lakers are playing in game two. Lakers look pretty good in game one. What were your thoughts from that?
Well, I think DeAndre Ayton is proving that he doesn't want to be Clint Capella because he played like it. 19 and 11
Yeah.
in that game one. It's really just talking about the 41-year-old though. Continues to get it done. Usually plays it out a little bit less aggressive, but he was really getting his teammates involved and making sure that points were distributed evenly and that everybody was getting their shots. Kind of like a Luke Kennard who went bananas. Uh, shout out him because I was very excited about that at the trade deadline, and this proved me right because he is somebody who can come in and hit a bunch of shots when two of your top scorers are down. So I'm very excited about that. I'm not looking too much into it. KD did not play, so KD, I don't know if he's going to be back in this game tonight. We're recording this on Tuesday, but if he is, I expect the Rockets to respond in game two, if I'm being honest with you. But I was pleasantly surprised with how well pretty much everybody on the Lakers played because the offenses looked much worse in much better situations. So shout out to them for taking it to a pretty good defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have anything more to add. It is game one, but shout out Luke Kennard. I don't think I could have foreseen that when the trade happened, but 5 for 5 from three, just some ethical hoops Mr. Kennard is
For
playing.
sure.
But I know you had a little more on the Lakers, so I'll let you take it away into your storylines.
One couple more things I want to hit on the playoffs. Vic, 35 points. Wow, he's built for this. And starters, I forgot to mention for the Pistons, 3 of the starters were in single digits. Can't have that. And for the Suns, these games should be on like Telemundo or whatever. But 2 of the Suns starters combined for 2 points. It's going to continue to be that ugly probably. So that's not fun. But yes, I did want to talk about the Lakers, not necessarily the playoffs, but the disrespect that has come from the awards committee. We like to talk about the Lakers being one of favorite, I guess you would say, in the league, and these awards simply just don't say that. Luka Doncic was left off the top 3 finalists for MVP. What? Yeah, he was obviously the scoring leader this year. That's the first time the scoring leader hasn't been a finalist in a decade. So yeah, he was also third in assists, 6 in steals, and if the argument is the 4th seed, you refuse to acknowledge that Luka definitely had the worst of those 4 teams, and had to deal with injuries for both himself, Austin Reeves, and LeBron missed a few games too. So we're just not looking at the full picture, and the Luka hate continues. Oh yeah, by the way, it's happened twice where the scoring leader has not been in the top 3 of MVP votes, and both Luka. So that's cool.
Huh. How
Yeah.
about that?
Let's look at his stats against the top 3 finalists who made it there for some reason. He leads Wemby in points by 8 points per game and 5 assists per game. That's pretty handily, if you ask me. He also leads him in 3-point percentage and steals per game. The generational defensive player, Luka, leads in steals per game. He leads Jokic in points and steals per game. And then he leads SGA in points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, and steals per game. So I just want to know the logic, but sure, you could make the argument that since he's a 4th seed, he doesn't deserve to win. But to not be a finalist, I have no explanation. Can you think of any?
No, my thoughts on Luka. I think he should be absolutely a finalist. He's still my MVP to this day. I get the injuries piled up, but at the end of the day, he's still in the running for the MVP, and I think he is far and above the most valuable player in the league this year, no question about it. And it's been proven with teams that you mentioned, people that you mentioned, Vic, SGA, both missed time. Teams look just fine. Not saying that they aren't benefited by their return, but still, they have a great team around them. The Lakers do have a okay team around Luka. Pretty good when they're healthy, but for the majority of the season, health has eluded the Lakers. Well, for the majority of the decade, health has eluded the Lakers.
Yeah.
So It's a head scratcher to me, but I've long been on the opposite end of the spectrum from what the media thinks. So I'm not too surprised.
Yeah, Jokic and SGA have played one single game more than Luka Doncic, so maybe that's what it is.
Oh,
I don't know.
oh, that's a big difference. You
Huge
left that
difference.
stat out. Yeah.
Huge difference. The other one that not as big of a gripe for me, but one I feel like was left off. JJ Redick not getting at least a finalist nod for Coach of the Year. I also don't understand. Second season with 50 plus wins, and first two. After I feel like people were laughing at the Lakers roster when they got Laravia, when they got Bronny, when they got Aiton, when it seemed like a scramble panic move. Uh, and dealing with all these injuries, like we talked about, Luca, AR, and LeBron. He's done all that and still was able to get the fourth seed and two back-to-back 50-win seasons. So you could make more of an argument, I think, for him being left off the finalists, obviously, than Luca, but I think he still should have been a finalist.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the other storyline I wanted to hit on was the WNBA, because last week, again, we could have talked for 3 hours as much things were going on last week. But one of the things I didn't get to hit on last week were the Aces. The defending champs definitely got better. They kept Alyssa Smith and Jewel Lloyd. Oh, and they added Kennedy Carter, who was inexplicably left out of the league last season. Last time she was in the league, she was 12th in scoring and had career highs in rebounds, steals per game, field goal percentage, and she also led the league in China in scoring in her season away. How she was not in the league again doesn't make sense. How you let the Aces get her doesn't make sense. How the Fever in their decimated season last season didn't call her, I can never understand. But anyways, my one concern for the Aces that's really not a big concern, but one that certainly plagued them last year was their choice for front court options in this offseason. They went and chose to re-sign Kirsten Bell instead of Megan Gustafson. Kirsten Bell, somebody who put up 0 points in 11 games. 11. That's like a fourth of the season. But let Megan Gustafson go, who matched points per game and had more rebounds per game in less minutes. Definitely still a title contender, but a confusing move, especially because Megan Gustafson can stretch the floor definitely better than Bale can. So don't really understand that move, but I think the defending champion, definitely got better. Can you explain how a team like this gets a player like that? Because I can't.
I don't know. There's a couple situations when I was going through for our upcoming power rankings where I was like, how we let that happen? And a lot of times I was thinking, why the hell didn't the Fever do this? And
Yeah,
it's kind of, I think it's one of those where they made the finals, so they're thinking, why wouldn't we just run it back? But I think there's a little asterisk next to that finals. Not that they didn't deserve to be there, but definitely some situations and some great play that led to that. But yeah, I couldn't tell you.
yeah,
Rich get richer.
Good for them. But yeah, you said it, so let's go ahead and get into it. We will move on to our power rankings, where this week we are breaking down the top 5 winners of the WNBA offseason team-wise. So, Colton, who you got?
Yeah, so at number 5, I have Chicago. I will admit I did leave Las Vegas off this list just because I did question the front court decision you were talking about there. But I do like the moves that Chicago made. Could have been higher if they didn't make the Angel Reese trade. Definitely still a head scratcher for me. Speaking of the Angel Reese trade, Atlanta is who I have at number 4. They kept Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard in-house. And I think a sneaky little first-round pick in Medina Okot, retaining some size after losing Brittany Griner. Kind of just didn't have a chance. She wanted to head back to Houston like you had said in previous weeks. So still, I think Atlanta at the end of the day is going to be just as good as they were last year, if not better. And I'm excited for it. At number 3, I got the New York Liberty, really based off of one move. They
Mhm.
retained a large portion of their roster, which was arguably the best roster in the league last season, and then added Satu Sabali.
Yeah.
Pretty dang good addition, if you do ask me.
Mhm.
And just making this team even deeper than they were last year. They stay healthy, which was their Achilles heel. No pun intended. Last season, I don't see why they shouldn't be back at the top of the league. But there's two teams that really separated themselves from the list. I knew they were going to be on this list, but I didn't realize I was going to put them at 1-2. Honestly, I thought they were going to be towards the bottom, at like 4 or 5. At number 2, I have Washington. One of the best
Mhm.
young cores in the league got even deeper. Not even mentioning, I think, a really sneaky addition in former WNBA Rookie of the Year, Michelle. I meant to ask you the pronunciation on this. Onyenwe? Onyenwe?
Onion way. There we go.
Onyenwe.
Mhm.
Onyenwe. I think that's a sneaky grab from Chicago. Hasn't quite panned out like a Rookie of the Year what you would expect, but I can't think of a better place for her to maybe find her footing here in Washington. But let's look at this draft haul. NCAA champion Lauren Betts at number 4.
Mhm.
Betts' teammate and fellow not WNBA, I don't know why I typed that, NCAA champion Angela Dugalic. I swear these names are WNBA or something
Yeah.
else. At number 9, and then Cody McMahon.
McMahon, I think.
Oh, just McMahon. Okay.
Yeah.
An absolute bucket getter for Ole Miss, who has averaged almost 20 points per game in her last season. And I'll even mention Cassandre Prosper from Notre Dame. I think that's a sneaky pickup in the second round. It might take some time for her to adjust to the WNBA game, but that is a beautiful 4 picks from the draft to make this already deep, young roster in Washington that we raved about last season better. The players are already set there, are going to get better, and then these guys will fit right in. So I think this is a really interesting core building in Washington. Winning basketball may finally be in Washington, ladies and gentlemen. How about it? But at number 1, I actually have the Dallas Wings. I think there
Okay.
were better players on the board, but I cannot knock the pairing of Paige Buckets and Ozzie Fudd. They also snagged Alana Smith, I think.
It's
Am I
Alana,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
I at least
Alana
pronounce it Alana. I think people do it differently, but
Alana Smith and Jessica Shepard, 2 key role players from the Lynx, who were one of the best teams in the league last year, maybe the best. And I would be remiss not to mention the acquiry of Odyssey Sims, who was a huge part of the Indiana Fever's finals run, averaged 16 points per game in the finals. So you already have a great young core that you're building there. And then you add in some good role players and a seasoned vet, been around the league for over 10 years, and Sims, who's still playing at the top of her game as of the last playoffs, or at least will, seemingly flip a switch when come playoff time and the Wings need it. This team's scary. This team is
Mhm.
absolutely scary. Paige Becker's getting another year under her belt is got to be scary for the league. And last year, I really remember thinking it was going to be kind of chalk when we
Yeah,
got especially to the playoffs, and then it was the opposite of that. This year, I genuinely don't know where we're going because the Lynx unequivocally got worse, in my opinion.
for sure.
Um, the Liberty did get better, but there's always just some sort of curse, it seems like, over there that kind of hits them. So, yeah, looking at this, I think it's really anyone's game, and that's why I'm so excited for the season to get started here in a couple weeks.
Me too. Couple honorable mentions. Definitely Dallas. You build around your key player. That's smart. And the Sparks. Neka Gumuke was probably the biggest move of the offseason, but I just feel like LA didn't really do enough otherwise to build around that to really make this list. But they did retain De'Erica Hamby, but they lost Azure Stevens, so that's a pretty big loss. But we'll see how that pans out for them. But for my number 5, I do have the Aces. You kept Joel Lloyd and Alyssa Smith. As I mentioned, if you keep pieces of a championship team, you deserve to make the list, I feel like, and then add Kennedy Carter, and she's just going to ball out. You could run a small lineup of Jackie, Kennedy, uh, the point guard, Asia, and I know I'm missing somebody. But, anyways, it'll come to me. Uh, that's going to be a nasty lineup that they're going to be running out there in Vegas. Atlanta is number 4, added Angel Reese, and then got Okad, who could stretch the floor even better than Griner. Obviously, may not be as big as impactful as Griner was, but she can at least shoot, so maybe like a nice balance or like an offset there. Number 3, I have Washington. You said it. That young core continues to get better and better, and I'm excited to see how they continue to do that. Cody McMahon is not even somebody I put on my notes, and she's probably going to prove me wrong. She's probably going to be the Sonya Citron of last year that I didn't even see popping out, and she certainly did. She was arguably the best rookie on that in that class last year, especially on the Washington side. Number 2, I have New York. Signs Satu. People in the on the WNBA side are comparing this in the NBA to KD signing with the Warriors, and it's not too far off. It's not too
I
far
see
off.
the argument. I absolutely see the argument.
She can't necessarily shoot as well as KD, so I would say it's more like signing a Kobe to that Warriors team. So still a good thing that you would want. Yeah, not too shabby of a move there, but New York, please resign Natasha Cloud. I don't know why it hasn't been done yet. At least the last time I checked, it hasn't been done. So don't be dumb. Sign that great point guard to give yourself the best starting 5 in all of basketball. Maybe one of the best starting 5s ever. But, anyways, number 1, a team that I did not believe in before this offseason, but I am fully bought into now, the Chicago Sky. As impressive as an offseason as you can have, they got Rakia Jackson, Dejanay Carrington, Jura Stevens, and Skylar Diggins in free agency, and then drafted Gabrielle Jaquez and Tony Morgan, uh, 2 floor generals that can kind of set the standard of what new players are going to look like for Chicago and just be able to be mentored by these 4 great free agency pickups that they got. So things are looking a lot better. The sky is no longer falling in Chicago. So I'm really happy for them, and it's good that they're going to be competitive again because, like you said, there's so much parity in the league now, especially with the way contracts are working out. So I'm really excited. 2 weeks cannot come fast enough. And now it is time for our shooting star where we pick our baller of the week. Colton, who you got?
You already know how to go. CJ McCollum. Come on now. The Lehigh product out of Ohio. I don't know. I love seeing that Wiley vet that you remember being I believe he got an all-star or 2 nod, but at least borderline all-star in his day. Teammate to my favorite player of all time, Damian Lillard. Seeing him get his buckets, leading a team to a win over the Knicks, of course, even better than Knicks. Gotta love it. May the world never forget Hawks, CJ McCollum.
Mine is Lakers legend Luke Kennard, who had 27 points in his first postseason game with the Lakers. Already put himself above the other Lakers legend, Gabe Vincent, in all-time playoff points for the franchise. So shout out him. Thank you, Nico. Oh, wait, I can't thank him for this one. But shout out Luke Kennard for an incredible game 1 showing, and might be just what we need to get through this first round if Luca and AR are not able to come back. And it sounded like AR may be back before Luca, so more good news on the Lakers front. But I'm going to be happy about this for now and until tonight when it probably gets ugly. But Luke Kennard is my player of the week for sure. But that will do it for this episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Thanks, Colton, for being on the show. Follow the show's YouTube at CX Restricted Area and follow the CX crew on all socials at CX Pod Network. You can follow me on Twitter at The Will Deal and Colton at Colt_45. That's 3 T's, by the way. So thank you all for listening and watching. And until next week, like a Luke Kennard jumper, be smooth.